Hi, everyone. I'm Carlee Bekker, and I'm the head of product stewardship at Sherritt. I've been in this role for about 2 years, and the reason I want to do the changing regulatory demands is from the start of my job 2 years ago till now, it's changed dramatically, and the mining world and regulatory demands are shifting at a very fast pace. So, of the ESG, obviously, I want to go into governance and into compliance, and the main reason is without a mechanism for compliance, how can change be measured, right? So what I'm talking about there is if we don't follow regulations, if we don't have standards, can we really hold ourselves accountable to making change, to showing change as organizations and as employees? And these types of standards I'm talking about are REACH standards, due diligence standards, red flag assessments, ISO certifications. And managing these compliance demands has put a pressure not only on companies, but has also increased the demands on employees to expand their roles as the regulatory changes happen. From the UN Sustainable Development Goals, these are 17 goals to transform our world. And I truly believe in that. Not only am I seeing that with other mining organizations and through seminars like this, but at our organization, there's been a dramatic shift in putting these goals first on our front. Not only the one that I'm going to talk about today, but also diversity and inclusion, something that is shown by Sarah being my International Women in Mining mentor. Companies are putting women in a position to lead and to have these opportunities to speak. But today I'm going to talk about goal number 12, which is mining and responsible consumption and production. Things that we're looking for in this goal are minimizing our resource use and waste, incorporating life cycle thinking, and collaborating inter and intra-industry. Having an understanding of our environmental and health impact of our products. And something we're doing to do that, or something Sherritt is doing to do that, is funding organizations such as the Nickel and Cobalt Institute to advance our ecological and toxicological sciences associated with our products. I've been to these meetings for the last 2 years, and some things that I've learned is the passion within the industry for the increasing the awareness of the potential health and environmental impacts associated with production, use, and disposal of our products. Not all of them are positive, but the thing is, we are making awareness to be able to help develop the appropriate regulations to protect human and environmental health. And that is a big shift. If we looked back on mining 50 years ago, you could see the changes that are happening, and that's positive. This big word map here, or word collaboration, is some of the things that we have to think of when we consider compliance. Continuing regulatory changes, enhanced monitoring and reporting requirements, increased regulatory scrutiny is some of the ones that stand out there. But from my personal experience, finding adequate and availability of skilled resources. And I can say that from personal experience because trying to find someone to come into the role of product stewardship at our organization was very, very difficult. And luckily, my company pushed me forward from, I was in other roles such as minerals accounting and working out of the laboratory, and as well as doing internal auditing. They helped me develop with a mentorship to become this person within product stewardship. But some other organizations might not have that opportunity to drive from within, and finding these availability of these skilled resources is going to become ever more difficult as the regulatory changes happen throughout the world. Managing the increased workload from the regulatory demands, managing product lifecycle assessments, increased information requests from customers, the impacts of technology, such as working through COVID, and outsourcing obligations to ORs are other things we need to consider, among many, many others, as we could see. So, as I said, the role has increased dramatically through the last 3 years as a product steward, or material stewardship, as some people call it. And some of the things that have increased is the increase of REACH registrations from multiple, or from one organization in the EU to multiple throughout the world, we have to be able to track these demands and make sure that we're complying in order to be able to sell our product. Increased regulations on cobalt is another thing that is being highlighted in the last year or two. Responsible sourcing demands and questions from customers is something that increases every day. Trying to keep up with the world from an employee perspective is a hard task. Our product stewardship team is currently one person, that'd be me, with the support of our sustainability and responsible sourcing group. But in the next few years, I can see these groups, not just in our company, but in every organization, growing dramatically in order to keep up with these demands. Some things that we've been doing as a compliance thing is life cycle assessments. This is a demand not only from our customers, but something that helps us with our regulatory compliance. So we participated in 2014 and 2020 cobalt LCA studies and 2017 nickel LCA studies. To me, these life cycle assessments is where we start asking ourselves as a company the hard questions, the questions that start driving change. Some of the things we can see from these studies is the potential improvement opportunities, providing these environmental information to clients, which has become almost a demand nowadays, and creating internal and external awareness of environmental footprint, as well as continuous improvement associated with our ESG governance criteria. So on this map here, you can see in the green dots or pointers there, these are where REACH-like registrations are already occurring. So it all started in Europe and it's spreading throughout the world. These orange are where the proposal stages are happening for REACH-like registrations. So as you can see, it's growing and it's spreading throughout the world at a very fast pace. Since I've started, we've already expanded into 4 different markets that have REACH-like registrations, and it's very difficult to keep up with them, as understanding the regulations in one area may not mean that you're going to comply in another area, as they all have different requirements, such as threshold bounds, data requirements, labeling requirements, reporting requirements. Understanding is very important to be able to sell our product and also to remain in compliance with these specific areas. Another thing we have to consider is the cost of compliance. And I want to say that this is an example of cost. This is the EU registration, and this is just a summary that was taken from online. But things that we have to consider is our substance identity. This cost estimate here depends on the complexity of our substance, so the analytical data. The information requirements are things like physical chemistry, toxicology, and ecotoxicology, and it depends on the availability of the existing data. Something I want to say here is this is constantly changing. As the regulatory requirements change, we have to invest more money into coming up with that toxicological and ecotoxicological data to be able to comply. And that's an investment for a customer or company. Another thing we have to consider is our time. So our time as an organization, our time and as employees is valuable. Putting this into a dollar amount, I don't know if that's something I want to do, but we invest a lot of time and energy and passion into our company. The cost of compliance is a large commitment for organizations. Another a compliance thing that has happened recently is the LME standards for responsible sourcing. In 2019, they released the requirements which align with the OECD due diligence guidelines, and they want producers to comply with it in 2023. This is a large demand in a very short amount of time, and for our organization has really put a strain on the employees and our responsible sourcing team. And we've actually expanded it to help meet these requirements because they require a number of assessments, including a red flag assessment, independent third-party feed audit, supply chain due diligence audits, the requirements of ISO 14001 and ISO 45,001 certifications by the end of 2023. So putting this additional strain on organizations, although there are a lot of benefits, and this will help show proof that we are trying to be a responsible sourcing and responsible companies, it's high demands on companies to do in such a short amount of time. Luckily, we have other organizations that we can collaborate with, that inter-company or inter-industry collaboration, such as the Copper Mark Multi-Metal Standard, which involves the Copper Mark, the Lead Association, the Zinc Association, and the Nickel Institute, which we're part of, to make a joint due diligence standard to help us do the governance, the labor laws, environmental, community, and human rights. This is a great tool for us. However, there are so many tools out there to choose which form of responsible sourcing guiding you want to comply with and who you're going to follow. And if we choose to invest in the wrong program, we could waste a lot of time or money and have to repeat some of the work in a different standard. ISO certifications is another great tool that we are using, and it's an international standard that helps us align with QMS, environmental management systems, and occupational health and safety. However, it is also something that has large time commitments and requires yearly compliance. It's very labor intensive, especially if you're starting off, to create these programs and to ensure that they are up to date every year as things change. So in summary, the role of product stewardship is ever expanding, and compliance throughout the world is continuously changing. It's increasing into areas such as responsible care and sustainable development, and compliance demands are growing at a pace beyond that anyone could have imagined within our organization anyway. We've been mining for 50 years, 60 years, and right now is the time that the most changes happened within ESG, and we're happy for it, and we're excited as compliance are vital for compliance regulations are vital for improvement, but they do put a strain on organizations and employees. And that's everything.
Brilliant. That was absolutely fantastic, Carlee. Brilliant. So ladies and gentlemen, if you please like to put your hands together. I was going to say your fingers together, your hands together. Say a massive thank you to Carlee. Bekker, thank you very much, Carlee. That's great. So there are a number of questions that are coming in for you. And I think something that really struck me was the reminder that actually this costs a lot of money for for companies to do, especially in terms of time and expertise. So a massive thank you for beginning to try and put a dollar value on that, because we've had a number of people talking to us about procurement, and especially a talk earlier on today where they said just fill in the paper because at the end of the day you have to do it. Now, from your perspective, Carlee, and we've seen REACH encroach across the world, but then also there are all of the other requirements on responsible stewardship, etc. If you had a solution for people, what would it be? I'm imagining it is reducing the amount of paperwork that you have to do, but do you have any pleas for the world of procurement and regulation?
I would plead to the world that we follow a more regulated REACH type registration, where we can use the same data, where we can use the same registration forms, and every country in the world could do the same set of data. Right now, in different countries such as Korea, we have to use their testing requirements. Whereas we already have the data, we already have the testing done for places like Europe or UK, but we can't use them. We have to do everything all over again. And that's something that is demanding on companies and financially a lot of money to keep up with, to keep within those markets.
No, it's absolutely huge. And I guess it, in a way, it almost determines which market, well, how many markets you want to sell into, and it has influence on that. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. The limitation, like companies can only try to support countries that they can sell into that have enough revenue to be able to offset that reach cost. And it really limits your markets if you can't register with reach due to financial concerns, especially in smaller organizations and smaller companies.
Great, thank you. And there's one final question that's come in from John Clark, and he asks, do you see blockchain technology contributing to product stewardship, such as tracking the sources of products, etc.?
Yeah, so the life cycle analysis is something that we do already, and that's coming into demand more and more so from our customers, tracking individual product cycles and life cycles. And it will be continuously growing throughout the world as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will be posting relevant videos that we've already managed to record earlier on this week. We did have one yesterday morning all about blockchain, etc. But please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together again for the fantastic Carlee Bekker. Thank you very much, Carlee. Brilliant.